Hey guys, it's Andy here, and I couldn't help myself. I was mentioning this to Dave Stewart that I would not be going on a rant, but I've got to, because that clearance rate, 57% clearance rate in Melbourne, in this marketplace, is just ridiculous. It is just crazy, because we're in a marketplace of transition. We're not in a market that is necessarily poor or good or bad or indifferent. We are in a market. It's just the same market for everybody, guys. So why on earth have we got a 50% clearance rate when we've got some auctioneers, some agents doing really, really well in this marketplace, and some of them just going around saying, oh, it's a bad market, it's a bad market. It is just no good, gang. It is no good blaming the market. You can no longer blame the market when we've got this much information kicking around, guys, because vendors can see what's happening. Vendors can see that it's not as good a market as it was. But at the same time, buyers are starting to see now that it's not all their market either. So guys, there are two reasons why your properties aren't selling at auction. And if I upset anybody, I'd love to hear your feedback with this, because I'm just getting tired of professionals blaming the market. It is not the market. It is a market that we as professionals are paid to navigate successfully. So there's two things, in my opinion, that are stopping your auctions from selling under the hammer, or at least within the 6 weeks of the campaign. One, it's the process that you've got, and two, or most importantly, it could well be your ego, all right, getting in the way of the transaction. Let's deal with the process first off. Now, process-wise, it's either going to be a lack of collaboration with your vendor or a lack of service with your buyers. Now, let me explain that. Collaboration with your vendor. It's not vendor management anymore, gang. This thing called the internet gives these vendors plenty of information. So stop treating them like children, guys. You've got to absolutely work with your vendors. It has to be a collaboration. If you spend the first 2 weeks of your campaign doing absolutely stuff all with your vendors and just let the campaign roll for a couple of weeks, it's okay. You've got another couple of weeks to go before you have to panic and hit that button of, oh shit, we've not got any buyers kicking around all of a sudden. You need to be communicating with your vendors and collaborating, working with them from day one. They have got to know every single little detail about what is happening in this marketplace. Because if they don't, and then 2 weeks in you go to them and say, oh look, I think the statement of information price is too high, we're not going to be able to get the buyers, oh the buyers aren't turning up. You're just being a stereotype agent, which is no good. Why do you think there are disruptors in the industry? For me, disruptors is an excuse for lack of innovation, guys. And you've got to get a grip of yourselves, because if you don't, you're going to see more and more of your market getting taken away by these disruptors because of the fact that you're not prepared to change up. It's just so frustrating that the agents that I've either talked to, thankfully a lot of my clients have been really, really cool about everything so far. But there's a number of agents that I'm dealing with on Instagram or on Facebook or what have you, and they're saying to us, and it's just a bad market. That's just the way it is. Well, guys, if you're going to let yourselves get dictated to by the marketplace, then you might as well be an also ran. You might as well be an order taker. Because that is not what we're paid to do as professionals. We are paid to be proactive in this market. And by collaborating with your vendors, giving them all the information, giving them regular touch points, giving them a communication plan that they can stick to so that it takes away unnecessary anxiety through the campaign is so crucial nowadays, guys. Because if you don't, you might as well just be an order taker. And then when it doesn't work out, you've not got that relationship with your vendor to move forward with. And you might as well just take your listing and hand it over to someone else. So guys, vendor wise, you've got to get way more proactive and way more collaborative with your vendors. It's not vendor management, it's vendor collaboration. Now the next one is buyer service. All right, so buyer service. Buyer management, Buyer handling, no, not anymore. And guys, let's get rid of this stupid language of buyers are liars. Buyers, I've heard one trainer say that buyers are terrorists, for God's sake, which is quite ridiculous. And that was at a conference. Guys, this whole game is about empathy. Because there is so much information out there, you've got to have a greater degree of empathy for those people that you are dealing with. Because if you don't, you're screwed. Basically, you are absolutely screwed. Why do you think, and this is a shout out to the ladies out there, why do you think that women are starting to take over when it comes to top 10s of franchise groups in real estate? Why? Because their EQ, their emotional intelligence is naturally higher than a guy's. That is why female agents are really starting to kick a heck of a lot of goals, all right? So irrespective of though whether you're a guy or a girl, you've got to show a greater degree of empathy and understanding. With buyers, they are not liars. They are just trying to get what is best for them and their family. We can't blame them. That's what we do. That's what the vendors are going to do when they're on the other end of a transaction. It is absolutely within their rights to ask and demand to pay or only what they want to pay. Okay? So don't turn around to them and look at them daft and think, geez, what the heck are you doing wasting my time? Because at the end of the day, it's not a waste of time for them. They are trying to get what's best for them, their families and their futures, and we cannot begrudge them of that. So when it comes to buyer service, handle them with that level of appropriate attention. Make sure that they are aware of all of the different scenarios and situations that could arise if they do or don't bid, for example. Make sure that they are absolutely aware of what is going on around the rest of the campaign. So tell them, guys, look, I think you've got a half decent shot of buying this because, right now there aren't as many buyers in the marketplace. And FYI, agents, if you don't look after your buyers, two things are going to happen. One, if you've got a hot buyer and they don't turn up to your auction, it's because you haven't looked after them well enough. Simple as that. And the other one is that buyer is going to be a vendor. And I know that plenty of people have coached that, have said that time and time again. But guys, that is so crucial in a marketplace where there is zero loyalty towards brands because there are that many brands and that much information out there and that many independent agents now. If you don't create a degree of loyalty with those buyers as well, then you are in deep trouble. Simple as that. So buyer service, guys, is absolutely 100%. I'm not talking about hounding them. I'm not talking about being a pain in the ass. I'm just talking about communicating with them with all of the stuff that they need to hear. All right. So process either with your vendor collaboration or with your buyer service. Okay. Super important. Now, the next one is getting even more annoying. If it's your ego getting in the way, if you just turn around at an auction, if it's not looking like it's going to work out and you go, oh, well, no, never mind, we'll just flick it to private sale, then guys, you have got to look at yourselves real hard in the mirror, because if you don't actually give us stuff as to whether your auction's going to be successful or not, if you have that blasé attitude of, oh, well, we're just going to convert it to private sale anyway, it makes no difference, then guys, you've really got to think about taking the tie off and handing it to someone else, because this goes with auctioneers too. If you're an auctioneer and you don't give us stuff about whether a property sells or not under the hammer, you shouldn't be holding a gavel. As simple as that, because it is just so infuriating to see a level of apathy when all they default to is, right, it's okay, it's just the price. It's the price's fault. It's the market's fault. Don't worry, it's that tree over there's fault. Guys, at the end of the day, if it doesn't sell, it's not the buyer's fault, it's not the vendor's fault, it's not the market's fault. It is you guys as professionals, and I keep saying this, it's you guys as professionals it's your job to make sure that thing works out. Now, I understand, don't get me wrong, because of empathy, I get that certain families have certain situations which make it increasingly hard. But guys, 57%? Are you for real? Seriously? We've got to take a long, hard look at ourselves, guys, because your ego is not letting you make changes to the way you do things, and it's not cool. That is exactly why cracks in the industry are formed, and that is exactly why innovators, or disruptors, if you want to call them that, have come into the game. It is as straightforward as that. For example, what frustrates me, and I'm starting to see I'm starting to speak to a lot more vendors now, and this is really, really important. I'm starting to speak to a lot of vendors now who are saying that, oh, look, the agent puts me on the market, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they're just telling me that it's the price that is the problem, and I need to drop my price and blah, blah, blah. So I go, okay, no problem. So I'll have a look at the agent's work and see how much work they've put into trying to get the thing sold, and he's almost non-existent in today's marketplace, ladies and gents. Because, for example, Facebook, this thing that we're on right now, if you do not use Facebook in your marketing campaigns, you are in deep, deep trouble. You're in a heck of a lot of trouble. Because the thing is, guys, you can create your ideal buyer avatars in the back end of Facebook with like $100, which is like a 15th or a 20th of the cost of realestate.com. You're going to give yourself a higher chance of buyers who are actually relevant to see your home. And that is not hard. That is not difficult. All it takes is a bit of a look on Google. It doesn't take an expert to work this out, guys. Google, believe it or not, has got a few of the answers to a few of these questions. So you need to have a look at your process. You need to have a look at your marketing. You need to actually look at your own performance before you go telling the vendor that their biggest asset is worth less than what you thought it was. All right? You've got to pull your fingers out, guys, because if you don't, you're going to be in a lot of bother. You already are, some of you. So hopefully this is a bit of a shock to the system. If any of you have got any feedback for me, if any of you disagree, I'd love to go to town with you, because we need to get this thing sorted, guys. And I'm sick. I'm getting real sick of people tippy-toeing around the main issues, which is the fact that agents, us guys, I'll include myself, I'm in the industry as well, we need to step up our games, gang. We really need to. We need to change our mentality. We need to have a way more empathy, because if we don't, we might as well pack our bags and let AI, let realestate.com, let these disruptors take it over. Guys, that's my rant. I had to get it out of my system. I'm sorry if I've upset anyone, but you know what? If I have, maybe it means that you need to make some changes, all right? And if you do need to make some changes to your process or anything, marketing-wise or anything, hit me up. Like, I don't care. I'm happy to help. So, just collaborate with someone. Collaborate with other people, either within your office, within the industry. That is the whole point, guys, of progressing. Interdependence is everything nowadays. So if you're not interdependent, you're not open to having these conversations with people, and then you're not living in today's world. Guys, that's my rant. I'm sorry. I hope it was, I don't know, it might have been useless. It might have been completely irrelevant to people. If it was, I'm sorry for wasting your time, but I had to get it off my chest, because 57% clearance rate, guys, that is not market conditions. That is absolute lack of innovation. It is absolute lack of process. It is absolute lack of empathy towards our vendors, our buyers, and the situation as a whole. Because at the end of the day, gang, there's other people doing 100%. There's other people doing 90%. So why the heck aren't you? All right, rant over. I'm gonna go home.